So you guys sent me a bunch of questions, and I've kind of broken them up into 3 sections. The first one is going to be like the personal question section. There were just a couple of questions in there about like my personal life and things, and I'll answer that first because it'll take the least amount of time. And then I will be moving on to the monologue acting segment, which is going to take the longest. And there's one question in there that wasn't really a question, but I want to talk about it anyway because I really appreciated it. So yeah, that's what I'll be doing in this monologue, and it's going to be broken up because most of my videos are unedited. This one obviously is. So thank you so much for all of your questions and your interest in my videos. I really appreciate that. What do you plan to do with your acting talents? Oh gosh, what do I plan to do with my acting talents? Well, I originally planned on being a world famous actress, and that very quickly did not happen. Right now, honestly, I'm just enjoying getting to do it, you know, every day. I really enjoy making my videos. It's a place where I can kind of see where I've grown and how I'm, you know, doing. It's also, I send them to my old acting teachers, and they're always asking, you know, am I still doing it? Where am I in it? So it's kind of like a here, you know, I'm still keeping on. So it's kind of what I'm doing with it now. Really, I don't have a lot of time to do acting because of my job, but when I get a little more time, there's just a lot of local theater and things like that here, and one state over is where they're making a lot of the movies now, and I'm in on all the auditions, so I see all the audition posts coming through, and when I finally have, you know, 3 or 4 days, I will go down and audition and do things like that. But I'm not really focusing on doing a lot of my acting right now, just because I have so much going on with my life. I started competing in, I'm a figure skater, so I compete in that. I've started doing that again. And I kind of use my acting there just to, you know, create a character on the ice, which is fun. But I have that kind of consuming all of my free time right now because I have tests and competitions and things like that. And then I have to deal with work, which is really demanding at the moment. We have a lot of releases coming out, and yeah, so that's kind of what I'm doing with my acting at the moment.
What is your favorite movie monologue?
So most of my favorite monologues are actually from TV shows because I find they have more time to do things, whereas movies will only have like 2 or 3 really good monologues in them. But my favorite movie monologue is from The Devil Wears Prada, and it's Meryl Streep's monologue from towards the beginning of the film, the All This Stuff monologue. And that one still to this day gives me chills. Every time I watch it, I'm just like, oh my goodness, I would never want Meryl Streep to talk to me this way. She's terrifying. But yeah, that is my favorite movie monologue and one of my favorite movies.
What is your favorite color?
So, my favorite color is blue. I like all shades of blue, but my 2 favorites are the like midnight velvety blue and like an ice, like really light ice blue. And yeah, that's my favorite color.
Have you ever been in a movie?
Have I been in a movie? Yes. I've been in 2. They're both independent films shot up in New England. One of them was Time and Charges, and it's shot, written and directed and starred in by Ernest Thompson, the writer of On Golden Pond, who happens to be a dear friend of mine. I don't see him all that much now because I live in North Carolina and he lives in New Hampshire, but for a while I was very involved with his production company, which was White Bridge Farms Productions, and I really enjoyed being a part of that. I did a lot with them. So that was Time and Charges, and the second one was Heavenly Angle, which was kind of a play off of Heavenly Angel, and it was also done by White Bridge Farm Productions. And I actually had a more significant role in that film. I helped with the makeup. I was one of the makeup artists, and I also had a tiny little bit part as one of the characters who was, it's like a movie in a movie for that movie, and so everyone was auditioning for the movie, and I got to do this really crazy, like, interpretive dance of the world as my audition piece, which was a lot of fun. It was completely improv, so I had a lot of, I worked a lot on both of those films. The second one the first one, I came in closer towards the end, so we finished our production really quickly, and I went to the screening of that, and that was fun. I had 1 or 2 scenes. I didn't have any lines in Time and Charges. That one was a more serious film, and so there was one scene, I think, that actually made it in to the film where I'm hailing a cab while the main character runs down the road. So that was all I did in that one. In front of the camera, behind the scenes, I did a lot of voiceover vocal work. There were a lot of scenes in diners and things like that where you'll hear me kind of cheering off in the background, and so that's what I did in that. I helped a lot with post-production. And then with Heavenly Angle, I was there from start to finish through the entire film. We shot it in 1 summer, and I helped with, the other actors. I helped set up. I did lighting. It's kind of like a family production. We had, 8 people that did everything. So that one was a lot of fun. I'm not sure where you can see those, to be honest, because they're still kind of floating around in the waiting to be distributed pile. But those were done about 2-3 years ago. So those are the films that I've been in.
I've added a couple of pictures here from the production of both Time and Charges and Heavenly Angle, and one really cool moment during an acting class where Ernest Thompson brought his Oscar in and let us hold it and pass it around and take pictures with it. So that was really neat, and I really enjoyed that experience. Do you like magic and pizza?
Yes. The answer to both of those questions is yes.
Do you practice your monologues every day?
I don't practice them a whole lot. But when I first started, I definitely did. I used to have an acting for the camera class every Monday, and I had to know a new monologue every Monday. So I would spend the entire week in front of the mirror doing that monologue over and over and over and over and over again, and breaking it up and memorizing it. So yeah, the answer to that question is I used to.
Do you have a job that doesn't involve acting?
Yes, my job actually has absolutely nothing to do with acting. I work at the technical support side of a video game company called Ubisoft. They do Assassin's Creed, Just Dance, Far Cry, The Crew, those kind of games, and I work with them. So if you ever call in to, ask about your computer crashing or a game not working, there's like a 50% chance that you'll get me on the line.
How do you get confidence? How do you find your character?
A lot of confidence for a very long time. I had to come to the realization that no one really cares what you're doing, and no one is watching that hard, and if they are, they're either jealous or they want to be like you. So, I find that do your own thing and be you, and whatever that is, and the confidence for that will come. Most of the time when you're just being yourself, people will appreciate that. When I was in high school, I didn't have a lot of friends until my senior year, and that's when I stopped caring about having friends, and suddenly they came out of the woodwork. So I think that's kind of where my confidence comes from, in that I don't care what other people think of me or what they're going to say about me, because it can't affect me. Nothing anyone says about you or to you can really affect you unless you let it. Don't give someone that much power over you. It's not worth it. So that's where my confidence comes from.
Is it easier to act in front of a camera or on stage?
Oh, 1,000 times on stage in front of an audience. A camera can see inside your soul, whereas on stage, if it's a good stage, you can't see the audience at all because the lights are in your face and it's just kind of like a black sea of bubbles. But no, I love acting in front of the camera. It's a lot different. On stage, I feel like you get the whole story all at once, whereas on camera, it's very disjointed, and it's very hard to find that level of emotion right away, because you could be acting a scene from the end of your film or, your episode, where you have to be in love with this person and crying because they left you, and you know your life has been torn apart and you're ruined, and you haven't acted any of the other scenes. This is the first time you've met this person and you have to just lay it all out there. So that can be the difficult part of camera. I love the stage. If I could do stage forever, I would. It's so great because everything is so exaggerated. Even in dramatic plays, you have to exaggerate or else people can't see you. So it's a lot easier for me to do stage because you don't have to dig really deep into that place, you know, to get all of that emotion on your face, because, you know, 10 times out of 10 on stage, unless it's a really, really small audience, you can miss a beat or your face can go off for a second and no one notices. And the only exception to that is when there's an audience of like 10 or 11 and you're just in front of them. And then that can be really nerve-wracking because they can see everything and they can hear everything. And those to me are more like film, except that you don't get do-overs. So, but yeah, stage, 100 times stage.
Can you show us your setup?
My setup, okay, I've shown a picture. It should be up on the screen now. It's really boring. I am so sorry. I usually, for my monologue videos, use my camera on my computer. Use my webcam. And that is because it's already on my computer. I can upload it right after I'm done with it, and I prefer unedited videos for my monologues because the rawness of those moments, I love the beauty of just that one single shot video. There's no covering up anything, it's just all there. And I did that intentionally because I just love the rawness of it. This video is clearly edited because I'm not monologuing in it. And with this video I used my Canon Rebel camera, and here's a picture of it here, just on its little tripod in the same place where I use my laptop. And yeah, that is my setup. Super boring. For lighting, I'll either use natural light like I am now, or I'll have, I've got a light here, I've got a light here, and I've got a lamp back there that points at me and casts light up. I don't have any real professional lighting yet because money, and eventually I will. I've been getting more into photography lately and I'll be getting it for that, so it'll be easier to use that, but yeah, for now I'm just using kind of the lights around my house.
Can you give tips on fake crying?
Fake crying. I actually have kind of a different approach to fake crying, if you can call it that. On stage, I generally don't cry for real, because one, unless it's a very small audience, it's pointless. They can't see the tear rolling down your cheek, and generally on stage, unless you're standing there for a full minute and just looking at the audience, you know, sad, you're generally covering your face and running off stage anyway. So on stage I don't do much as far as crying is concerned. In front of the camera, I wouldn't call it fake crying. In a monologue or a scene, I don't cry unless I feel like it. And when I say that, I mean when it comes to acting in front of the camera, if you're not feeling it inside of you, if you don't have that real emotion, no one can, you know, they can tell, they can smell it a mile away that you are acting. And on camera, you never want anyone to know you're acting. They want to watch that movie and believe in that moment that you were actually that person. So I find, you know, some people will think of certain things to make them cry. I think of the scene. So, for example, you know, if you're in a scene where your daughter just died and your husband left you and your house just burned down, there's a lot to be upset about. But normal people will not just cry. No one wants to cry in front of anyone. So when you feel that, you know, that feeling, you know, oh, I'm going to cry, hold that back. Hold it in as much as possible, and you'll find that it will happen very organically. You know, the really the rule I use for emotions in monologues is the rule of opposites. So if there's a monologue where you should clearly be crying or, you know, maybe be upset, try to laugh, you know, try to smile through it, you know, and that'll take the audience off guard, it'll take you off guard, and you'll realize as you're saying these things and you kind of have that little smile, you know, those tears will come and they'll be there, and it just takes a lot of practice to really dig into your emotional center. As a result, my emotions tend to be really on my sleeve. So I cry very easily, I laugh very easily, I get hurt and I show that on my face very quickly because I've opened up that center of emotions, and they're very accessible to me. I find that with most actors, you know, they tend to be very emotionally crazy, and it's because they need to be. All those emotions need to be right there all the time. So kind of that's where that comes from. When I was in high school and middle school, I found that a lot harder because you have to deal with a lot of people that you do or you don't really know, like in the same place that you at the same time, and it matters to you at that point what they think about you. So, you know, if you're sitting in class and you're crying about something, then, you know, someone may make fun of you for it or, you know, start worrying about you, and a lot of times you don't want that. Now, you know, I mean, people know this about me, but if there's something going on in my life that upsets me, I will sit at my desk and work and I will sob. And that's just kind of how I am. That's not, it's not good in most places. You kind of have to learn to pull it in, but where I am at my job right now, it's very easy. It's just in an office, so I have my own little space and I can kind of be myself. But yeah, the crying, when it comes to stage, that's where I would consider more fake crying to be. You would just kind of, I don't know, for example, you know, your boyfriend's leaving you, no, how dare you, I can't, and you run off stage, and it's, usually that's pretty much all you need to do, unless you're in like a really high-end production where they want you to physically sob, in which case eye drops, lemon juice. And on camera, they generally, if you need to cry, if they ask you to cry in a scene, eye drops and lemon juice, but organically it does happen.
When you do monologues, is it by memory?
Yes and no. When I do a monologue for my videos, it is not. Those are cold reads. And that's done intentionally. I will start doing memorized monologues because you get to stare at the camera, and that can be a little scary because, again, it can see into your soul. So you're kind of, you know, you make eye contact with the camera and you don't look away, and that can be a lot of fun. Unless you're not supposed to be looking at the camera, and then don't. Avoid it at all costs. So I will start doing memorized monologues. The ones I have up now, those are 100% cold reads. So a lot of them, they're favorite monologues, so I know them, but that is the first time that I've done them, and that's the first time I've read them. So I'll usually use my laptop, and I'll put my camera on this end, and I'll snap my monologue over here, so it's, you know, Windows 7 or 10 does that. We have the two. And I'll read, and yeah, I really like doing cold reads. My cold reads used to be really weak, so I did them and did them and did them and did them over and over and over and over and over again, and now they tend to be really good, and I'm very proud of that. But yeah, most of my videos are cold reads.
How do you practice your monologues?
So the way I practice my monologues is I'll do it in front of a mirror. It helps if I'm supposed to be talking to someone because you can kind of stare yourself down. You know, you can kind of give yourself some eye contact. So I'll first practice it in front of a mirror. When I'm first memorizing it, the first thing I'll do with a monologue is I will take out all the punctuation and read it as one long run-on sentence. The reason that I do that is because people don't speak sentences like sentences. So if you have a monologue, it says, I love you, period. But someone is not going to read or say that as, I love you, but no, it's gonna be, no, I love you, but I can't, you know, there might be a comma there, which is a pause, but no one is gonna read or say their words like they're written on a paragraph. Punctuation is great. It's really great to make sure everyone knows what you're saying when you're writing something down, but people don't speak with perfect punctuation. So I take all of the punctuation out, and then I go in with my pencil or pen, and I'll put in lines and I'll underline things for where I'm going to pause, where I'm going to continue. I'll put in arrows. So my monologues tend to be really marked up. I did that kind of with your questions here. I printed them out and they're all marked up. Yeah, so I just tend to mark up my pieces of paper and take all the punctuation out, and that's how I memorize them. When I'm finally done in front of the mirror, when I feel like I've got a good handle on where I should be looking and how I should be saying things, I will pull some people. My husband always, you know, he's the great listener. He'll sit on the couch and he'll watch me do my monologues 2 and 3 times. I have some friends that I'll do them for, to kind of get a reaction from them and see what that does. It sometimes is great, it sometimes isn't. If you have a friend that likes to joke, they may break in the middle of your monologue to make a joke, and then it's not good. So, I do a variety of things, but that's kind of how I practice my monologues.
How do you memorize things so easily?
Now, with this question, you may be referring to my videos in which you already know I don't memorize them. I do tend to memorize things fairly quickly, because I have an oral memory. So, it's kind of like unless if you don't know what that is, it's kind of like a photographic memory for your ears. I can hear something 2 or 3 times and then I have it. So, to memorize my monologues, or my lines for anything, I'll generally read them out loud to myself 2 or 3 times, and then I'll have the gist of them, and then what I'll do is I'll close my eyes and say them, and when I miss a line, I'll open it up, look at it, read it out loud 2 or 3 times, and so that's kind of how I memorize. I know a lot of people use different things. They'll break them up. I just tend to, you know, going over them over and over and over again and reading them out loud tends to help for a lot of people. Get a scene partner, read them with your friends, and just memorize. It takes a lot of work to kind of get to that point where you can just kind of look at something and memorize it. I find, like, you know, the brain is a muscle. The more you work it, the more it knows what to do. So the more you memorize, the more you'll be able to memorize. But yeah, I just have that gift where it comes to me fairly quickly. And that may be from the fact that I was memorizing monologues and poems and Bible verses from the time I was like 3. We have videos of me at a very young age reading saying little pieces from these beautiful little books. There's one, and I still have it. Close your eyes and do not peek, and I'll rub spring across your cheek. And it was very cute when I was 3, and now it's not so cute. But yeah, so that may be why I find it so easy. But then again, I've also been memorizing for a very long time, so.
How do you prepare to get in character?
To get into character, I find that you just kind of have to become that person. So if you have a monologue, or if I have a monologue that doesn't have a backstory, I know I've been assigned monologues that someone, you know, just wrote, or they pulled out of thin air and they didn't give you any reference for them. Create a backstory. Why is that person there? You know, what are they doing? Who are they? What makes them tick? If you have all of that, because, you know, real people have all of these things, you never find out about them. A good trick is to make a secret. Something that no one will ever know, only you know about yourself. Because everyone has those secrets. And use that to drive your performance. So, for example, I had a monologue where someone had to perform this giant speech, and the secret was they were afraid of public speaking. So they had this big long speech, and it was for a comedic class, but I would stutter or stop halfway through and start again. Sometimes with a class you can do that, whereas with an actual job you can't. But yeah, just have something in that character's background that no one will know, that only you have. And that will drive your character and create one. If you have an already prepared backstory for a character, make sure you know it. Do your homework. If you have, say like a movie monologue or a character from a book, read the book. I cannot stress this enough. I read somewhere that the second actor to play Dumbledore in Harry Potter was very proud of the fact that he never read any of the Harry Potter books, and I think that is lazy. No, you read your source material, get to know your history. There is nothing but arrogance in someone who is too proud to recognize that someone created a wonderful background for you and they've done your work for you. So, I mean, definitely always put yourself into it, put your own spin on it, but do your homework. And that's all I can say about preparing to really get into a character is take the time to really have that person in your head.
How long have you been in theater?
I've been in theater for what feels like forever. My dad sang with the San Francisco Opera and my mother was a ballet teacher, so I kind of never had a chance. I was doing ballet shows when I was 2 and 3 years old for her. We had a presentation show that my mom and dad put on where I did 2 monologues. I played the violin, I played the piano, I sang, and I did a dance. So I've been doing that since I was very, very, very young.
How many plays have you performed in?
I don't honestly know. I did Peter Pan when I was a kid. I did, in school, I did Dark of the Moon, where I played one of the witches up in the mountain, and I ended up taking that character. That was, honestly, it's my favorite character. It's the only character I've ever been able to play that was evil, because as a, young girl, you generally find yourself stuck in the ingenue, love interest, romantic character, which can be so boring after a while. So that was my favorite. I got to be evil and manipulate people's minds, and that was fun. So Dark of the Moon as a Witch, I did Little Shop of Horrors, I was Audrey, and I really liked that one because we got the giant puppets. So we had like the little puppet and the plant for the little plant, and then when we got the giant plant, which had someone in it that was physically like doing crunches to get the plant to talk. And we rented those from a company, and I'm not quite sure where we got them, but I really enjoyed that play. And I did Seussical the Musical. I played Gertrude. I actually did that one twice. So I played Gertrude, and then I played JoJo. And that was so much fun. I loved Seussical. I was a part of On Golden Pond, the plays that were done in New England about 3 years ago. I think they do them every year now, but I would introduce that show, and then I was part of the stage managing crew for that one, so I assisted in that play. I was part of the political plays that Ernest Thompson did. The name is escaping me right now. But I helped with those, so I don't know, probably about 7 or 8.
There were some questions about my social media presence. I do have both Instagram and Twitter, and I'm on those quite a bit. If you contact me on either one, you'll probably get a pretty quick response since I have a small number of active followers. There were so many kind comments peppered in with all of your questions. Sometimes you forget there are actually real people behind the view numbers, and it's so nice to see people actually enjoying your videos.